Welcome guys and girls. So in this video we are just going to be discussing how to display data in JavaScript. So here I have a brief work done here. It's just HTML and we'll be writing our JavaScript in the script tag today. As you can see, the title is displaying displaying data in JavaScript, and just the HTML just has this hello world. So why do we actually need to display data? We need to display data so that we could be able to see the kind of information we're working with in the JavaScript, and to be able to move whatever we're doing in JavaScript to the HTML, so that either the user can see it or we, the developers at the back end, can see it. Not really back end, but we could see it too. So I have 4 ways listed here, and we're going to be going through all of them each one by one. And the first one is the inner HTML. So the way it works is that you can actually target elements in HTML, and you can now be able to control what those elements does or say through something called an inner HTML. So how do we target elements? There are different ways of targeting, but in this example we're going to be using the ID. You could assign an ID to an element, and you could now use JavaScript to target that element and then manipulate it from wherever you are. So inside here, what I'm simply going to do is that I'm going to target this demo, that element with the demo, with the ID demo. We are going to do it by saying document dot get elements by ID. As you can see from my IntelliSense, there are different ways. There's get elements by ID, by class name, by name, get elements by tag name, and different ways, but we're going to be saying get elements by ID. So then inside here, I'm going to pass in the ID as a string. I'm going to write demo right here. So the next thing I want to do is that I'm going to also say dot inner HTML, and in the inner HTML I'm just going to say equal to, I'm going to pass in a string. I'm going to say hello JavaScript. So as you can see, earlier we said hello world, that we displayed over here hello world, but as you can see, when I save my work and come back here and refresh it, as you can see, it no longer says hello world, but says what? Hello JavaScript. So as you can see here, says hello world, but because we were able to now say no, we do not want this to be displaying hello world, but we want it to say something different, like hello something, or we could have a variable like name, and we could say Augustine Easy, and then we could say the dot inner HTML is equal to name. Sorry, let me add this guy here, variable name. And when we do this and we come here and we refresh, you can see it brings out that name. So that's just one way we could display data in JavaScript. So the next way we can also display data is using the document.write. So I just commented out this one, that means it will run under other space again, and I could also remove it completely. So we could also use document.write. Now document.write, what it actually does is that it actually goes through your body tag and actually just replaces everything that is inside there. So what do I mean by that? We could say document.write, and then inside here we're going to put in a string, and we could just say something like hello there, writing, sorry, let's just use double quotes. Actually JavaScript can use both single and double quote, but there's a little bit of exception when you're using a single quote, so I'm going to just use double quotes for now. I might explain it later. So I say hello there, I'm writing in JS. So once I save this now and I come here and I refresh, as you can see here, it says what? Hello there, I am writing in JS. So it has actually displayed everything that we're going to be needing, and it actually wrote it fine and good. After the hello world, we have I am writing in JS. So that's another way we could actually display data in JavaScript. Sorry. So I'm going to just bring out the former information I had here. Okay, sorry. Give me a minute to correct this. I am writing in JS. So this is another way we could actually make use of. We could actually bring up information or data in JS, or we could even say something as hello there, I'm writing in JavaScript, and then rewrite something later on and just pass in the name variable we had. But then let's see what we have. So as you can see, it said hello there, I'm writing in JS, and then it brings up Augustine is in next, which was the name we added in the second line. So this is just one way we could also display data or display variables from the JavaScript onto our HTML page. Now the next way we could also do that, comment these guys out. The next way we could also do that is by using something called an alert box. Like I mentioned here, the alert box. Now the way the alert box works is that it normally alerts the user towards something. Now let me just give you a brief demonstration of how that works. So I'm going to say alert, and inside here I'm going to say alert, hey there. So once I save it, now notice what happens immediately I refresh the page. Boop, it says what this page says, hey there, which was what I wrote down there. So this is actually an alert box. It comes up every time. It comes up anytime you make use of the alert. It's actually a function. You could pass in different things into the function. I could duplicate this here, and I could say alert name. So as you can see there, I put alert name there. We could come here, refresh. It's going to say first, this page says hey there. When I click OK, it says this page say Augustine Eze. So that's just how to use the alert box, and that's how the alert box is just used to display, or like a word says alert the user towards a specific thing. And the last one that we have here is the console.log. So before I talk about the console.log, I just want to show you something called the developer tools. I must have mentioned it in my last video, maybe I did not, but it's something that it's available in every browser, and like the name says, developer tools, it is specifically for developers. It helps developers to be able to get more information about the active web page that's currently on the browser. So I'm just going to right click here and click on inspect. Now the inspect is actually going to open this developer tools over here. Permit me to reset this, and as you can see here, you could be able to see the HTML workings here, and under here you can be able to see what we call a console. This console gives us access to our variables and some other things we could have there. Like if I type in name and I press enter, you can see Augustine came up here. So it shows all our JavaScript variables and some other things, and it also has a lot of other things. We might not want to go into those aspects now as they're a bit advanced, but the one we are going to be concerned of is this console, because with this console, right, we could actually put in an information inside here that we do not want the users to be able to see on their end. So like the word says developer tools, this is strictly for developers. So if you want anything that developers should see, because it's mostly developers who know about these dev tools, you could just simply put it inside here. And how we do that, right, is that we simply say console.log. So we are going to log the value, or we're just going to push the value over there for them to see. And like I said, hey, I'm writing, we just say hey, I am writing to developer tools. Then once we save it and we come here and we refresh, and guess what it says? Hey, I'm writing to DevTools, and it actually gives us where in the HTML it's written. It says index.html on line 22. And when we come here, console.log was where? On line 22. So we could also display a variable right there. We say name, and we save it. We could display a variable. So once I save it and rerun it, you can see it also showed me the name of the variable. So these are actually different ways of using to be able to display data. We talked about the first thing, which is the inner HTML. We talked about the second one, which is the document.write, and then we talked about the alert box and the console.log. These are different ways, but which way is actually a more professional way to make it as a developer? Now whenever you want your users to be able to see an output, the tool that you should be mainly focused on is inner HTML, alert box, and document.write. Now, those are the three that are always going to appear where the users of your website are going to see. So you might want to make use of those ones whenever you want an output to be displayed to your user. But whenever you want something to not be displayed to your user, such as a deep information, or maybe when you're debugging your application, you don't want to always be displaying something into your browser, but you want to display it elsewhere, that's where you want to use the console.log to be able to log information. Maybe you want to check the name of a variable at a particular time and all those kind of things. That's where you make use of the console.log. It helps you to display it not where people can see it, but rather in the dev tools. So that's just a specific thing that you will need to understand about it. And I hardly use the document.write because it basically doesn't really give me exactly what I want. You could, and some people like using it, but specifically for me, no, I don't use document.write because at times it affects your DOM, which we'll talk about later, and you don't always want to write directly to the DOM and all that. So that is the end of this video. If you like the video, kindly give me a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification so that you could get more videos from me and be alerted whenever they drop. So that's all for today. See you guys in the next time.